Well, everybody, I did not expect to cover this particular person in a positive light. Not on this topic, especially of all things, but I guess it doesn't really surprise me that much the more I think about it. It kind of makes sense. You guys are probably well familiar with the live streamer, the Twitch streamer, xQc. I think his real name is Felix. He's a French-Canadian. God bless his soul. French-Canadian live streamer, and pretty much the top of Twitch. I think he's also pretty big on Kick as well, which is going to be a pretty substantial part of this story too. But he is the biggest Twitch streamer, if I recall correctly. There might be, like, some other people that technically get more views than him, but, like, I'm pretty certain he's still considered the Twitch streamer to this day, even if some people sometimes, like, surpass him in viewership. I think he's still the top on average. And so xQc, he's got an interesting reputation. Now, initially, I think the majority of xQc's negative connotations with who he was kind of came from two things. The fact that his chat was known for being one of the most, like, low IQ NPC chats on Twitch, and in sometimes very toxic ways. For those of you guys not super tuned into Twitch culture, you might be surprised to find out that a number of years ago, prior to a change Twitch made removing the emote, there was an emote on Twitch called Tryhard. That emote represented, it was of the face of a live streamer named Tryhex. We have that emote in my chat, but obviously it doesn't get used in the way that I'm about to describe. It used to be a trend on Twitch to spam that emote in a racist way. Now, you may be wondering, what do you mean by, like, in a racist way? How could you spam an emote of a live streamer and it be a racist thing? Well, if you can't tell, Tryhex is black, and the way they would use this emote was whenever, let's say xQc was reacting to a video where some car got stolen, for example, or there was, I don't know, a monkey eating a banana, or an image that involved literally anything to do with a stereotype that is associated with black people that's racist, they would spam the tryhard emote. Is there a watermelon on screen? You would just see 100 tryhard emotes go by. No context, just, oh, someone stole a car. 1,000,000 tryhard emotes go by. Oh, a watermelon's on screen. 1,000,000 tryhard emotes go by. Oh, there's, like, an ad for KFC fried chicken. 1,000,000 tryhard emotes go by. These are all examples I have seen. I'm not making up examples right now. I have seen these examples, okay? This was the main criticism I think a lot of people, especially if you're more progressive or left-leaning, had of xQc going back a few years ago. But xQc, credit to him, cracked down on that shit. Oh god, my stream quality just stuttered. We're back, though. It was just a very quick drop-off. Anyway, he cracked down on that very well, in my opinion. What he ended up doing was banning the emote from his chat before even Twitch did this, and explaining that the reason he did it was because people used it in a racist way. And all credit, and I also want to give credit to Asmongold for doing the same thing and giving the same explanation. He banned the tryhard emote from his chat and said, because you're using it in a racist way, that's why I banned it. And they all argued, like, what do you mean it's racist? What are we doing that's racist? We're just spamming an emote. And he said, really? Really? You think I'm so dumb I don't know what you're doing? You think I don't know what joke you're making and I don't know that it's racist? You think I'm that stupid? That was Asmongold's wording, but xQc had a very similar crackdown as well, though he didn't, like, get lost in arguing with people over it. And so because of that, I think I've always had a generally core positive opinion of xQc. I've never thought he's a monster, but more recently, there's been some different criticisms worth levying his way. The least important of which I think is his tendency to lazily react to content. In fact, I think his highest effort reactions in many cases are just, "What? Oh my god, man! Whoa! Is that real, chat? Again! Another one!" Yeah, like, just pretty much that. That's a pretty good approximation of like xQc's reactions when they actually are a reaction. Otherwise, it's literally just him silently there eating, sometimes even pulling a Hassan and getting up and walking away. So a lot of people have criticized him for that. I am not like Dark Viper AU where I have like some like insane, mentally ill stick up my ass about React content, though I do, like most people, have a problem with clearly effortless, lazy, basically just content theft, reaction content. And xQc is no stranger to that, though he, once again, after criticism, has gotten better at it, so I suppose I can't really give him too much shit there. And then more recently, he's had like a few stints of weird, kinda anti-woke takes that didn't exactly look too good. Not exactly overtly hateful, but definitely seemed to be suggesting that xQc was going down a weird and conservative path, which kind of makes sense when you consider the fact that xQc, over the last year, has been dealing with a pretty rough divorce. All the information at this point has come out about it. There's not really any, like, theorizing or theory crafting to do here. It just seems like Adept, xQc's ex, was, like, a pretty awful person. And xQc, like, broke up with her, and then her response was to try to take every dime that xQc has. She managed to take a lot from him. Like, I think she got his car and a good amount of his wealth. But, I forget the whole drama, but it was pretty rough. She was a pretty awful person by the sounds of things, and the breakup was pretty rough, and she tried to leave the relationship with as much of his things as she possibly could. And he got divorced, a really rough divorce, a divorce that indicated that his partner may not have ever even loved him and was just using him for financial gain the entire time. And so you can imagine how this might have led xQc into a position that might have been a little toxic politically. A lot of, like, conservative older men these days seem to have just gotten divorced, and it kind of radicalized them or put them in the place to be radicalized. Yeah, the divorced man to rightoid pipeline is quite common. However, through all this, xQc has still maintained a friendship with content creators like Hassan and Destiny. As much as I do not like Hassan and Destiny, I'd say I dislike Hassan far more than I dislike Destiny. They're both more progressive leaning than the average person a content creator in xQc's position is going to interact with, and there have been pretty consistent interactions on political topics between xQc and Hassan as of late, mostly in regards to social issues, less so than any, like, controversial issues that might, you know, like, I don't know, foreign policy. Nothing like that, mostly social stuff. So xQc has actually found himself fairly based on some social issues as of late, and it kind of surprises me. I dislike Destiny way more. If you dislike Destiny more than Hassan, then either you don't know enough about either party, or you're, like, an ideologue. Negative. Parentheses, bad thing. Anyway, there's also the fact that the Canadian Overton window is just further left in the USA. No, I don't think that counts here. Like, content creators like xQc, people in the space, consider themselves internet citizens first and citizens of, like, Canada or whatever last. Like, how many times can you, like, say, insert Canadian public figures' positions are more progressive because they're Canadian? I think most Canadian public figures that are into politics that we know of are conservatives, actually, just butting in on American politics. The reason for that, by the way, is that the conservative culture war shit popular in American politics does not fly in Canadian politics. There is no cultural tie to it. There are conservatives in Canada, but that type of conservatism is just, they don't have a foothold. Like, the Trump-like people don't have much of a foothold in Canada, to be fair. Regardless, there are a lot of younger people in Canada that are right-wing, but they don't consider themselves right-wing Canadians. They're just online and they consider themselves right-wing. And based on how they talk, you would never know they were Canadian. They talk about American politics exclusively, American culture war politics exclusively. They talk about politics like America's the only politics that matters. You see it kind of often. Anyway, that aside, recently, as in like a couple days ago, this clip came out that's been making the rounds on lefty Twitter, genuinely praising xQc. And while I've already seen a clip from this, and I do think xQc could have argued this better, in the sense that while he definitely won the debate, certainly in the public perception, if you read the comments on this video, I think xQc argued some points wrong despite winning the debate. And I kind of want to go over those points and just give a general debate review. The clip's only 4.5 minutes long. It's not like a crazy long debate or anything like that. But I think it's worth taking a look. You know, obviously xQc arguing in favor of trans people against Adin Ross is a pretty big deal. But this has kind of led to the total, like, falling apart of Kick the last couple days. Like, Kick is supposed to be the new Twitch for, like, no rules, none of Twitch's stupid rules, you know what I mean? Where you can gamble, but you can't do titty streams, of course, but you can gamble, and you can say slurs, and you can, you know, be like a red pill content creator and make tons of money, and you can also be a gaming streamer and make tons of money, and there's no rules, and you can gamble, and all that stuff. Problem is, Kick is primarily dominated by, like, the Sneakos and the Andrew Ross, or Adin Rosses of the platform. And because of that, once xQc, another person who is pretty significantly large on the platform, has, like, gone against another person who's pretty large on the platform, it's caused the entire Kick platform to kind of fracture in the last couple days. And it's been really funny to watch. It really has been. Anyway, let's take a look at this. xQc, Adin Ross, and DJ Academics get into a heated debate about the topic of transgender. Remember, xQc is arguing pro-trans here. Let's take a look.
A gender is like a social construct.
We're on two different. Hey, listen, let me tell you this. If I meet a man and he tell me that him being a man is a social construct, I slap the shit out of him. No, you're a fucking man, okay?
Good luck, man. Good luck. Yes, go up to a trans person who tells you they're trans, and that gender, and like when you ask them what does that mean, then they tell you gender is a social. Slap them in the face and see what happens. See how quickly you get the hate crime charges. Please do it. Please. I really do like when these people have no rules they have to worry about, like following to get banned, and they just outright admit, yeah, if I met a trans person in real life, I'd assault them. It's like, yeah. Kind of reminds me of the other day when right-wing accounts on Twitter were sharing around and, like, hero statusing this grown man that was running around assaulting trans and LGBT, like, minors. Like, they'd find a group of minors in the streets of, like, Australia that had, like, dyed hair or, like, nose piercings or just looked like they could be, like, left-leaning or LGBT. And he, like, recorded himself just running up and, like, sucker punching them in the face. And the video was captioned, what was the video captioned? It was like, knocking out woke cancel pigs or something like that. And it got like 100,000 likes and retweets, and the conservative, like, Elon accounts and the replies were all championing it on. Wait, wasn't that user 14 years old? No, I think the person who got punched was 14 years old, and the person recording might have been 41, to be honest with you. Let me see if I can find that. Twitter... man assaulting trans kids. What a search. What a search. I forgot. The internet sucks now and you can't find anything ever again. Well, never mind, guys. I forgot. The internet uses AI for all searches now. So if you see a thing and you don't save it, like, to your computer, you will never find it again. Never mind. Did anyone call the police on him? I hope so. This went really viral on Twitter the last, like, week and a half ago, but I absolutely cannot find it. I can't even find the distance from Alpha Centauri distance in kilometers. Yeah, no, Google's cooked now. Like, it's fucking done. You can't find shit. I've literally gotten to the point now where I will search the closest thing I can get to what should give me the result I'm looking for. If it's not in the first 4 rows of Google Images or search results, I just stop because it will never come up. Google will never show it to me. It's buried now. It's lost media.
Yo, if God made you with a dick and a balls, you're a man. I don't care. I don't care what you think about yourself. You need to go deal with that. You need to go to Christ or anybody else. Allah, anybody. You got dick and balls, you are a man. There ain't no social construct. Biology tells me what you are. You got a pussy, you a woman. You got a dick, you're a man. Again, we could make up these other rules, but that is the ground rules, brother. Like this whole, oh no, it's construct. It's like, dog, all right, I'm a penguin. Am I a penguin?
No. What X is?
This is very top tier debate praxis. I don't even know what else to call it. Like, this guy's argument is so stupid that I don't know how to respond to it. It's that stupid. Okay. This guy heard xQc say gender is a social construct, and I feel like every hateful thought or opinion or joke he's had in his mind about trans people just exploded out of him in like a non-cognizant slurry. I think what he means to say is social constructs aren't real. There is no such thing as gender. There is only biological sex. And if you have a dick and balls, then you are a man. And if you have a pussy, then you are a woman. And then, of course, the extra thing on top of that, of which if you don't agree with him on this take, he will assault you. You know, a very, very traditional conservative idea. Obviously, right? Now, here's the thing about that. This is a perfect example of somebody who's arrived at their conclusions through what they would call common sense. If you ask them, what evidence do you have to support this position? And I'm sure xQc might in a moment or something. He would respond, what do you mean? It's common sense. A lot of people think that they have a pretty solid, basic cognitive ability where they can just see an issue and without having to think or research it too much, default to a pretty reasonable position and then call it common sense, right? And common sense is something that everybody should have, that everybody should practice. And so just saying something's common sense to many people is really just a strong enough argument for why they believe a thing. And that's probably what this guy would give as his explanation. The problem with that is, though, common sense is just guessing and assuming that your immediate first assumption is correct, right? The problem with this is that this guy is bluffing about how settled this position is on trans stuff. As it turns out, the overwhelming consensus among scientists, biologists, sociologists, psychologists, go down the list of ologists and ists and doctors and scientists that specialize in these fields, the overwhelming consensus, meaning the massive majority of them agree that not only is gender and sex, like, they're different things, but that gender is not a inherent, solid, non-fluid thing. Gender is simply a set of identifying factors, both behavioral, presentational, and internal, that allow people to specify who they are and how they want people to perceive them and refer to them. And it usually coincides with your sex, the sex that you would have been assigned at birth. And when I say, the reason I say assigned at birth rather than just the sex you had at birth is because there are many cases where there are people born without just a dick and balls or without just a pussy, as this guy has said. Believe it or not, there are many men out there, but like XX chromosome, well, probably not XX chromosomes because usually this derives from not having XY or XX chromosome pairs, but instead something different. There are men out there, like cis men, who have lived their lives as cis men, identify as cis men, who go to the doctor one day, and they, like, let's say they feel some, I don't know, like they got constipation or something, so they go to the doctor, and the doctor goes and does an ultrasound, and is like, so sir, you're definitely constipated, you're right about that, but we found something that might surprise you. Sir, are you aware of the fact that you've got a uterus, a non-functional uterus inside of you. This tends to happen due to, well, there's a variety of things that can cause it. It can be caused by hormonal changes during pregnancy. It can be caused by chromosomal damage or just simple mutation. We don't even know why it happens in many cases. It could literally just be base level nature. It could just be a thing nature does, and it's supposed to happen. Conservatives, on the other hand, though, rely on the fact that the majority of people have remained pretty reliant on meeting people of two genders through most of their life. Either you meet people who are a man or you meet people who are a woman. And if they're a woman, they tend to have a vagina and breasts and a uterus and whatnot. And if they're a man, they tend to have a penis, testicles, etc. Now, we could even get more specific on this and like call out how stupid of a definition this guy's given here by just pointing out that there are countless women who don't have fully intact reproductive systems. Like countless who can't give birth, who don't have the ability to, many who weren't born with the ability to, particularly if we talk about people who are intersex. There are people who have been born with both a penis and vagina, or a penis and balls and a vagina. Like, it's just, the fact is that even on a biological level, there are just people with penises and people with vaginas. Unfortunately, the world has literally never been that simple. But do you want to know what this guy would probably copium respond with? He would try to argue that, like, intersex people are not valid. Not that they don't exist, but that they are some sort of mistake or, like, fuck up, and they aren't intentional. They aren't supposed to exist, as if he knows the laws of and intents of the universe. That is how they would argue. This guy has already brought up that, like, if you're trans, you need to go to Jesus or Allah. It's very clear that there is some religious motivation to this as well, but this might be one of the dumbest transphobes I've ever heard speak. I genuinely wish nothing but bad things upon this man. He's actually that insufferably stupid.
What he's saying is, so sex is male or female.
Right.
So you're correct, Ak and Adin. There's male and there's female.
Yes, there is.
That's
There's two genders.
Not even there, actually. All right, let's just let this play for a little while, and then we can sort of recap all of the retardation bit by bit.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the biological attribute, right?
Correct.
Male and female. That's sex.
Yes.
Gender. See, like there's a miscommunication.
Also, surprising Trainwrecks W too, by the way.
A misunderstanding of gender versus sex. Sex is female or male. You understand? So when you guys say
Yeah,
there's two,
of course
there's
I understand.
when you guys say there's two genders, you're referring to those two sexes, right? Gender is actually a social construct.
There
right?
you go. So why tell me I'm wrong about this? I was
Identifies,
wrong
like,
about that.
behaviors and certain things of certain different, right? Like, so when you say
Wait a
is there
minute.
two genders, what do you mean are there two sexes? Yes, there's two sexes. There's male and there's female.
Guys,
you understand?
guys,
So like,
I guess I'll interject here, because this is actually where our guys, xQc and Train, it would seem, are in the wrong. While they're close, they're like, I'd say 60% correct. They got things a little wrong. So while yes, gender is a social construct, they've got that correct. I do think it's important to explain what that means. I think a lot of people hear the term insert thing as a social construct, and thus then what they hear is that thing isn't real. That's not what saying a thing is a social construct means. It's very much real. It's that we came up with it. A good example of another social construct that you can very much perceive as real, and you're perceiving it as real right now, is language. Humans did not evolve and instantly have language, right? What we did evolve were the biological capabilities to produce the audible noises that we make that we consider language, but the words and what they are labeled to, like, I don't know, take pen. Here is a pen. There are many different types of pen, but we have a set of definitions, a word for this thing that we recognize does a thing, right? You look at something and you instantly know that is a pen, right? There's a word for that. You see like a bottle of water, a bottle, and you know that's a bottle. There's a word for that. But then there are more specific words. Like you may just call a chair, but another person calls it a recliner, because that's a more specific word for what that type of chair is. The fact is, language, even on an objective level, is surprisingly subjective. The fact is, we developed these words to refer to things that exist, but the words themselves aren't flawless. Our language is not flawless. Our way of communication is not flawless, and we don't entirely understand the world. And we certainly didn't entirely understand the world when we started developing language, even English. And so when we talk about something being a social construct, we're not saying it's not real. We're saying it is a human-made idea that we believe in to make things make sense. Just like language is a thing we choose to believe in to make things make sense.
You're both arguing two different things. That's
Academics. Stop. Academics. Have you ever gone to a gender reveal party? We don't call it a sex reveal party. You call it a gender reveal party.
That's why it's called a social construct.
Guys, did you know that people call them gender reveal parties? Sex and gender are the same thing. You've been owned. I mean, we're talking about Adin Ross here. This is the guy who literally, like, deep inhaled the chair of Andrew Tate after he got up on camera for some reason. I don't know if he thought the camera wasn't on. I really do hope that xQc like brings out one scientific source to back up his position here. It's so weird seeing debating come back into the limelight as like the meta, but it's not debating like actual debate figures. Like no one wants to debate a figure like me or Vosh or Destiny these days. People like want to debate Trainwrecks or xQc, someone like public figures with clout that have marginally left-leaning views but don't have any debate experience. Those are the people that are like, debate me, that are like getting debate mead. You know, like you see like when was the last time you saw a lefty figure get like outright debate mead? You know, I had someone run from a debate yesterday I tried to start up from in chat. It's been hard to get debates like the last year. People don't want to do them. Like the rights, like right now, I feel like the average conservative probably does not want to get challenged on like backing what the right is doing right now. I don't feel like the average conservative like dude who wants to come on and debate like could really defend what's happening right now. Like there's no ambiguity. You can't say right now like point to where it says point to a law that discriminates against trans or gay people. That was a really popular gotcha right-wingers like to pull out on less experienced in debate lefties. They can't do that now because the average lefty or even like the xQc might be able to immediately name a bill that specifically targets trans people and labels them predators, pushed by conservative politicians, and pushed back against by medical and psychological institutions too, for that matter. I feel that right now it's a pretty bad place to try to play the enlightened classical liberal role of like, well, I'm just fighting against the crazy wokeness right now. Point to one place where the far right is having a overwhelming political pull on society that's hurting people's lives. You know, I could list 50 examples right now, and I think most conservatives know that and don't want to be in that situation. Hunter Avalon hands out all the smoke and gets debated pretty frequently. Yeah, to be fair, I think Hunter Avalon's in a special place right now, though, because he is getting massively harassed by, like, the worst people in the world. Hunter Avalon really pissed off the Grapers, like, maybe 6 or 7 months here, maybe a year ago. And then maybe 4 or 5 months ago, he and his girlfriend were attacked by a gunman who came to Hunter's apartment and attempted to murder him. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but like this is a big thing when it happened. Thank God Hunter's okay. Thank God Hunter's partner's okay. We got the happy ending, all things considered, I guess, the best possible ending to that situation. But after that happened, it went so, like, it ended up being a big story. Like, it was in the news and everything, and Hunter had to move. The Groypers from that day on have had like a really heavy and hard on for Hunter Avalon. Like a big part of it is the fact that any left-leaning figure that is in a relationship is going to get like the most attacks from far-right figures because I don't know why. I guess it's just like the whole perspective that they can make insults about your partner, and that's like maybe a easier attack than going at you directly. I know for a fact I've received less hate now from grapers and Nazis than when I had a girlfriend publicly, you know? Like when I was publicly in a relationship, I got a lot more shit than I do now, and it was usually like insults involving my ex, right? And so I definitely think that's part of it as well. Yeah, Hunter definitely gets into a lot of debates, but a lot of it's just the fact that like he is currently under a firestorm that has been like 4 months long of grapers targeting him because they see him as like in a vulnerable place right now because he was literally nearly murdered. And that to them was like, okay, we need to like focus our attacks on this particular guy right now. Because like we are talking about grapers here, like actual subhuman filth. I don't usually refer to like just people who disagree with me that way, but like the groiper sphere of the internet is like they're people who proudly declare that they are bad people. Like if you see them posting on like subreddits and stuff, it's not like the delusional idea that they don't have like a delusional hero complex like a lot of conservatives tend to, where they post about how what they're doing is in some way heroic or good in some twisted way. They are proud of how evil what they believe in is. Like, they brag about how awful and evil and wrong it is to believe what they believe, and they try to out-evil each other, and they like, incorporate the moral negative of what they believe into their personality and their presentation and their aesthetic. To a degree, that's what this guy is doing as well, with the whole, like, if I saw a trans person who said that to me, I'd assault them on the street. That being like his second sentence he says in this debate, you know? Like, you debate this guy on trans rights, and within 2 sentences he's talking about how he would hit a trans person in real life if they disagreed with him on trans rights. That is to say, believed that they deserved rights and respect in front of him.
Trainwreck know he capping because, put it like this. If you meet some of these grown-ass niggas who think they females, if you ask them what sex they are, they're not going to say they're actually male. They're going to say they're a female.
Hilariously enough, there are shitloads of trans people that are like pick-me, like true scum types that will absolutely say that. Like, this is absolute bullshit. There are countless. Like, Blair White, the offensive T-slur, fucking Calvin Gara. Like literally go to any conservative trans figure, they will call themselves a biological insert what their assigned sex was at birth. Calvin who? Listen, the fact you guys don't know who Calvin Gara is a good thing, but those that know who I'm talking about, they understand why. They know it's a good example, okay? The fact you guys don't know who Calvin Gara is goes to show how fucking privileged you guys are, especially if you're a little non-binary little zoomer. Like, back when Calvin Gara was around, you would know to fear him, because his whole thing was just to, like, find a non-binary kid online and then bully them. Like, that was or someone that he called a transgender and then bully them. He started out, like, I think he was, like, literally a teenager when he was making videos at first, so he was a teenager bullying other teenagers, but then he became an adult and continued to bully teenagers because that was what he built his channel on. I think he got better towards, like, the end of his channel. Like, he debated Buck Angel on why non-binary identities are valid. So I think he had, like, a full 360, to be fair. But let's be clear. The 90% of his career was harassing non-binary kids and quote-unquote transgenders. Yeah, you guys have that young shit privilege, as the boomer transes would say.
Identify
on all the government forms. On all the government forms you filled out, does it not say sex M/F?
We're not talking about government forms. Yo, respect. We're talking about government forms. Yo, we're talking about, like, I completely get your argument and you're right, but the people
wait. We're not talking about government forms. Hold on, science. Okay, a government form and how they like ask you what is your. The government does not care about anything that is not extremely important when it comes to you filling out a form. Everything that you fill out on a form is like important identifying info, okay? That's how government forms work. So if they're asking you for your sex and not your gender, doesn't that indicate that, like, if it's not used interchangeably on government forms, instead they just exclusively use sex? Like, what? Is he just... I really think this is a case of someone who's just conceded the entire argument and is now just trying to go, but from here. Like, the debate's already lost for this guy.
Talking about, they want to be able to pick not only gender, but sex. They're picking.
That doesn't seem right.
What? Have you met someone that is, like, I gotta be clear because I know I'm still on Twitch, trans, and if you...
He had to stop himself from saying a slur, I guess. That's why he had to say, I gotta stop myself, I'm still on Twitch.
Do you think they identify like, oh, I'm actually a male, sex-wise, but I consider myself as a woman? They don't. They call themselves a woman and a female. That's a fact. Why y'all acting like they still consider themselves a male?
They still mean the gender though. Like, and if they don't, they're wrong. But that doesn't. Why do you feel so enraged?
I do feel this is probably the best point to like point to where xQc has a bit of like a hole here. Man, I hope one day I'm able to get a conversation with xQc. You guys need to boost my channel. Drop likes on my videos. You guys realize that the ability for me to have like a potential one-on-one friendly conversation with like someone like xQc or Trainwrecks and like make them based about a topic like this and like answer their questions and provide, say, data to explain why they're a little off the mark here. Like the way you get me to a size where I can leverage that clout to get into that position is you guys got to support me. Drop likes on the videos, drop likes on the stream. If you want to see me be able to get into a call with someone like xQc and be like, listen, man, I think you did well here, but I want to talk to you a little bit about these issues. And I've got studies and like science stuff to back this up. You know, I'm not just shitting out my face telling you, trust me, bro. I got data here. I got science here to back this up. And now you will have it. When you debate people on this in the future, you can use the same links and the same sources and the same information. Like, I feel like that would be a fun conversation. I'm basically daydreaming about, like, a fantasy at this point, so we're just going to move on.
And compelled to write them. That's the government's fucking thing to do that. If they misrepresent themselves on a government form, they're now wrong. That's fucking illegal. If they say sex and they misrepresent themselves, that's actually wrong. Why do you feel like if they go, no, you are this, you are that? Yo, chill the fuck out, bitch ass. Chill out.
Correct them. I don't feel compelled to correct them. I'm just showing the fallacy.
I do like that xQc starts rolling out the insults now and calls him a bitch ass because, like, it doesn't just seem like xQc is, like, upset at him for being wrong and stupid. It also seems like xQc is taking off the kid gloves here because this dude, like, basically bragged about the fact he would commit a hate crime if given the opportunity against a trans person.
Seen what you just tried to explain.
Not a fallacy.
And you don't know, well, maybe not you, but Trainwreck said, well, you know what? You guys are right. Sex, there's only two sexes, but you could have multiple genders because that's a social construct.
All right, now here's where we get to the multiple, like the sexes thing, okay? So I talked about they're not simply just not being just male and female, right? Like you can't just break it down to either you have XX or XY chromosomes because there are people that don't have just XX or XY chromosomes. And then that typically results, not always, but typically results in changes to the physical outward body, such as like there can be a uterus while also being a penis and testicles. There can be two opposite sex organs. There can be a combination. There can be like there are a lot of people who end up being born with a vagina, but they have internal testes that aren't functional. And like they may argue like, oh, well, they're not functional, but it's like, okay, but you just told me that having balls makes you a man. So if a woman's born with a pussy, lives her whole life with a pussy and being a woman, and has balls somewhere inside of her, does that make her not a woman, or does it make her a man, or does it make her neither? It does. The fact is that woman and man are identities to do with gender, and male and female are practically, I'm going to be honest with you guys, here's my hot take. Male and female are effectively irrelevant details about a person. Outside of, like, whether or not that is an important thing to you when it comes to finding a partner, like the genitals and like biological sex of the partner that you may have, or like child rearing, and like that kind of thing. Outside of that, when it comes to most people's attraction and perception of another person's identity, it's mostly their gender. Look at Finster, for example. Are we going to pretend like the average dude, if they see, like, a picture of Finster without knowing who they are, isn't going to immediately think, like, oh, that's a cute girl? Like, Finster, like, nobody would assume Finster was born a cis man. No one would assume that without the knowledge prior. And that is the case for a lot of trans people. And it's the case for a lot of intersex people, too. So the fact is, for the vast majority of people, certainly when it comes to their sexuality even, like their attraction, like, if you show a straight guy this image of a girl, they're going to say, oh yeah, that's a cute girl. And they might walk it back after you tell them, oh yeah, it's Finster. Finster identifies as a femboy. Like, they may walk it back and be like, whoa, I'm not gay afterwards. But, like, the fact is, whether you like it or not, most people's sexuality and understanding of gender begins and ends at what they see on a very surface level. You cannot scan somebody and know their chromosomes. You cannot scan somebody and know what's, like, under their clothing, assuming it's, like, not very tight clothing, I guess. It's impossible to just scan somebody with your laser vision or your fucking X-ray vision and know what internal shit they have going on. Wait, Xander Hall Finster is gender fluid? I know. I covered Finster coming out as gender fluid in a video. Finster uses they, them pronouns primarily, is okay with he, him pronouns, and kind of okay with she, her, I guess. I think, if I remember correctly, but primarily it's they, them, and gender fluid. But regardless, my point is, you show some random straight guy this picture, they're going to say cute girl. They're not going to ask, I can't see her pussy. Couldn't tell you whether I'm attracted or whether I can say I'm attracted. I can't see her chromosomes. I haven't gotten the blood test back. It's just not how people gauge attraction or even their evaluation of whether or not they think someone's a man or a woman. This guy would walk past Finster on the street and think, oh, pretty girl, and be none the wiser.
I'm telling you that usually if someone, and by the way, I'm not even passionate about this, truth be told. But usually if someone, say someone was born, right, a female, they was born with a pussy, right? If they want to now identify as a man, they're not going to then tell people, I am a female by sex, but I am a man by gender.
Because they're acting in a social way with other social beings, using a social construct to fucking communicate. They're using a social construct to communicate, not some biological fucking markers. Holy shit.
Yeah, like you're not typically seeing someone's genitals when you're walking out in public. Like, if you see someone, you're typically assuming their gender. That's what that means. Like, you see somebody with long hair who's wearing feminine clothing and looks feminine, you would typically assume woman and then start up a conversation with them. Or like, go on with your day, or like, I don't know, like, just if you saw them in public, I don't know. But like, let's say, have you ever seen somebody, they're not trans, they're not intersex, but they just happen to be pretty androgynous? I know this was a thing more commonly when I was younger. Like, just, there are cases where kids will look more androgynous, like you just kind of couldn't tell at first glance, especially the younger you get. I remember when I was in elementary school, there were a couple kids I legitimately had to ask, are you a boy or a girl? I'm not even joking. There were a fair few kids growing up in elementary school, not any trans or LGBT thing. This wasn't like some bigoted thing or anything like that. It was just, they happened to just look so ambiguous in their gender presentation. We had school uniforms that were just khakis, shoes, and a t-shirt. And then, like, the one kid had, like, long hair and looked relatively feminine in the face because, like, just androgynous, really. I could not tell. And I'd ask, are you a boy or a girl? And he was like, I'm a guy. I get it, though. I got the long hair. People say it all the time. I was like, okay. Sorry, I hope you don't think it was rude of me to ask. But that's happened before. The fact is that, like, you just don't know somebody's biological sex just from looking at them. The fact is, sometimes you even have to ask or assume because people present a certain way, and that presentation is meant to give a certain message at even a moment's glance for the sake of communication. That's what a social construct is. Just like saying hi with a simple syllable, 99% of people you meet on the street in America will know what hi means, despite it just being a syllable coming out of our mouths. It means hello. It means I'm a stranger, you're a stranger, and I'm greeting you politely, and I hope you have a good day, and I'm being friendly about it. Like, there's a lot of understanding communicated through a simple syllable exchange between strangers. That is what a social construct is.
How hard is it to understand it?
See? Look at that. xQc, rare W. I honestly have to say, I'm more impressed with Trainwrecks. Like,
You call it
dude.
a sex reveal party.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Trainwrecks was surprisingly based here. Backing up xQc. Can we get that bit again where he...
So you're correct, Ak and Adin. There's male and there's female.
Yes, there is.
That's
There's two
sex,
genders.
Okay?
Yes.
That's the biological attribute, right?
Correct.
Male and female, that's sex.
Yes.
Gender. See, like, there's a miscommunication and misunderstanding of gender versus sex. Sex is female or male. You understand? So when you guys say there's two...
of course,
there's
I understand.
When you guys say there's two genders, you're referring to those two sexes, right? Gender is actually a social construct.
There
right?
you go. So why tell me I'm wrong about this?
Like, they're not super great at arguing and debating. Thankfully, neither are their opponents, so that meant they kind of come out of this looking pretty good regardless, in my opinion. But I definitely think they could use some more refining of their takes. I'd be interested to see if, like, xQc is going to go on stream with, like, Hassan or Destiny or something. Hopefully Destiny instead of Hassan. I don't care what you guys say. I can't stand Hassan. I can stand Destiny far more than I can stand Hassan. Hopefully, like, xQc goes on and does, like, a debate review talk through with someone left-leaning. Wish it could be me. And gets, like, some of those takes and some of those arguments kind of refined and reviewed and like, sort of... So you got the spirit here. You're a little off, but you got the spirit. Your heart's in the right place, but here's where we can, like, improve, you know? The fact is that debate... How do I word this? Making your online career being known for debating is kind of a dangerous thing. Because you're setting your reputation on your debate performance. And all it takes is one or two particularly bad debate performances, which could come about because of lack of preparation. You're having a bad day, you feel a little sick, you have a headache, whatever it could be. You could potentially ruin your entire reputation with one or two bad debates, you know, like just poorly performing ones. But then again, the other flip side of that is that if you get a very good reputation for debating, you start to be the forefront guy that people want to argue with as a principal within the space. And the only way to get to that point, the only way to get to be like a debate master is practice. Lots and lots and lots of practice. When I started debating, I was nowhere near as good as I am now. And frankly, I think I could be far better than I am now. I think there's no cap to debate skill, frankly. There's always improvement to be had. And regardless of that, the only way to get to that point is practice. And that practice is going to involve failure. The sort of like problem with that, though, is that failure is a constant risk of hurting your reputation. So if you want to be like a debate YouTuber streamer, you either have to like do a lot of your learning in the early days where there's not a lot of stakes, which is thankfully what I was able to do in my position, or you have to learn how to debate well very fucking quick, because the trial and error that you need to learn how to debate well, like just the learning from mistakes and like practicing, people aren't going to view that as practicing if you don't do well. They're going to view it as you being bad at debating, you know? Like, I've had cases where I had one bad debate and like somebody saw that one debate, and for them, they think like all my debates go like that. And then they see one where I do well, like one of my average debates, and they're like, what the fuck? Zan did really well in this debate. And I'll just be like, I don't really think I did that. That was like an average performance debate. What debates had you seen from me before? And they'll say, oh, I saw the Corvidae debate. I was like, okay, well, that was literally me getting like jumped on stream relative, like pretty much, you know? Lance is an amazingly bad debater. Yeah, I kind of think, as much as I hate Lance, that's kind of a good example, right? Like, if Lance wants to get better at debating, he has to debate more, and that's going to involve more lost debates, and that's only going to feed into the perception that Lance is a bad debater. And so by the time Lance becomes a good debater, like, or even like a master debater, even a masturbator, there's a good chance that everybody thinks of him as a really bad debater and doesn't give him a chance on any of his debate content, even though his performance then is good. And obviously, fuck Lance and all, but, you know, it's just an example. I like your Willie Mack debate. Yeah, that one went really well. I feel like Willie Mack gets a little bit too much shit for that debate. His positions politically seem to have shifted a lot since then. Like a lot since then. Like he was arguing some pretty stupid shit in that debate, and I think would never argue that these days. Like he's probably one of the most, like I'd say the most level-headed person in the drama commentary community these days, as opposed to what I might have said during that debate, one of the least level-headed in the drama commentary community. I don't know what happened, like if he just like leveled up at one point and just dedicated all the stat points he got to intelligence, and it just like overnight, bro, like just became the opposite of how he was when I met him. But like, props to him. I'm really curious to see if we can like get xQc and Trainwrecks down a path of being like marginally left-leaning debate bros at least. That'd be a crazy development in this arc. But regardless, I'm curious to see what you guys thought of all of this down below in the comments. Seriously, every single comment, I like reading them. In particular, seeing your comments lately has been pretty fun. I've been reading them a lot more. And they boost the channel because they're engagement. So comment down below. I really do appreciate it. It helps a lot. And of course, if you want to also boost my channel with engagement, you can drop a thumbs up. It's totally free. Every single like goes a really long way. And I do appreciate it to every single last one of you who drops a like. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, if you want to support me financially, you can always do so, like Slashy just did, by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buying merch, all linked down below in the description. You can also join my fan Discord for completely free, which is an awesome community of fans, and just, it's fun stuff. You know, I do watch parties in there, I do call-in streams in there, I do all my announcements for uploads and streams in there, so you'll never miss them. It's a really fun place. I hope to see you there. Wait, there's Xan merch? Yes, there is Xan merch. It's in the Streamlabs link down below. Xanderhall, or it's streamlabs.com/xanderhall/merch, I think. Down below in the description. We got an I Was Radicalized by Minecraft shirt, a Xander Hall Booba shirt, we got a Xander Hall mug, all sorts of stuff. There's hats, there's some cool merch. Some cool merch. I hope to see you guys getting some.